Greetings, boils, ghouls, and other creatures of the night, to a month of Halloween, where I'll be discussing a variety of scary media, and ending with one of my favourites of all time. But this entry is the Autopsy of Jane Doe, with Brian Cox, Emile Hirsch, and a great turn by Olwen Catherine Kelly. People may think I'm joking, but it's very difficult to act convincingly dead for extended periods. Your body makes these tiny motions that you never notice until you're trying to not move at all. You might have an itch, there's going to be things happening on set that you can't react to, because you might break character and it might take ages for you to get back in position and set. So it's entirely and genuinely sincere, that praise. She did a great job. But this was one of those films where I came in to watch it a second time with one idea and came out with an entirely different one. Because the first time I watched it, many months ago, I was swept up in the hype. People were saying it's amazing, this great film. Critics and audiences both loved it. And I stupidly paid attention to it. And I came out feeling it was very pedestrian, boring, predictable. It relied too much on jump scares, which does make a lot of sense when you actually understand the backstory. Because Andre Overdahl wanted to do a horror film after watching The Conjuring. He watched it and literally phoned up someone like his agent and was like, get me a horror film. So it's no hyperbole to say that it is inspired by The Conjuring. But it did ruin my enjoyment the first time. All this expectation, all the stupid things that it'd been inspired by. I love The Conjuring series, but jump scares can just go. But rewatching it, I gained a new appreciation. I didn't go in with the hype. I went in with disappointment. I went in expecting nothing. Well, I went in with a sense of dread, really. I was like, do I have to watch this again? Well, I don't. It's been a while, so I'm not going to remember it properly, so I'll watch it again. And I'm glad I did. I'm not going to say that all of the problems with it went away. Not at all. But without that hype, without that expectation, I did enjoy it more. It was still, kind of like, yeah, that's going to happen. Yeah, that's going to happen. But it was better. And that's something that I've learned, I think, now over time. If you get swept up in the hype, it is going to do you a disservice. When I talked about Hereditary, I knew that everyone was raving about it. And Veronica the same. But I went into it myself, going, expect it to be middle of the road at best. And I enjoyed both of those films more because I didn't have that expectation. So that's a weird life lesson, but this isn't necessarily what I want to go into in detail. I just think it's worth noting. I do want to talk about the film itself because, like I say, it is boring, it is predictable. Well, not boring perhaps on the second viewing, but it is kind of predictable and somewhat pedestrian. Because once you start to go through the mystery, which is interesting, I mean, it does build the tension of that mystery well. It just sells itself short by the jump scares. You're building that tension towards a particular outcome, and what you get instead is people looking through a hole in a door, which is an obvious jump scare bait. That's what I really don't like still. But the mystery. Who is this woman? Why does she have all this internal damage and no external signs? What is going on here? That's the thing that kept me still watching the second time. And then again it threw the disappointment glove on me, if you will, because it does this whole Salem apologists thing, which, 300 plus years ago, a bunch of people were convicted and tried as witches and killed, tortured, maimed, whatever. Hung in most cases, in fact, not burned. Or hanged. Never sure which one's the right word for that. But, there's been many films and various types of media that have been kind of, apologising, I guess, for this. But it happened ages ago. What can we do? It was a different time. It was a lot more religiously led than a lot of things these days. Not everything, but a lot of things. And it's getting a bit boring when films keep doing this whole kind of Salem apologist thing, and that's one thing I didn't like. But it then also shoots that down, because he does this whole sacrifice. Brian Cox does amazing, he's like, put all your pain into me, basically. and has a great sort of, you know, oh, kill me, son, oh, I'm in pain scene. And you're like, oh, bless. Oh, look, they helped this poor girl who was probably mistreated, although it was the girls who were telling on the witches in Salem. But I said I'd leave that. So we think, oh, you know, she's at rest. And then she ends up killing his son as well. So she was just evil then. She's an evil witch. We've built up this thing of like, oh, feel sorry for her. Look, oh, poor girl. But she's actually just evil. So what's the takeaway? No one has earned a death in this. No one's evil. You know, no one's an atrocious human being. They're all flawed. And she's just evil. It's almost like a sequel bait. You know, it's like, oh, she's not fully at rest. Maybe they didn't do one thing that would have worked. So she's not entirely happy. So, you know, sequel baiting for something else. Or what? I don't know. But it still left me with that. You've had so many ideas that you've brought up. You've so many good things that you could have worked with and you could have actually given us closure on, but you've just rewound the clock. We're no further at the end of the film than we are at the start, if you think about it that way. Yes, we've had the deaths of Tommy and Austin. And Emma, of course, his girlfriend. But what else? We started with a dead body who people are like, what's all that about? And we've ended with a dead body who people are like, what's all that about? Going somewhere else now. So that's why it still disappointed me. I still don't understand why the reviews are averaging as they are. You know, in the sort of 70s, 80s. I think IMDb's got it closer. It's 6.8, I think, when I last looked. But it's got too much praise, and I don't know if it's because people love what Andre Overdal did before, Trollhunter, and just wanted to love this. I did read one review that was very much of my mindset, though. It appreciated the good, but did, you know, acknowledge that it wasn't great. There were a lot of unanswered questions. So I'm not alone in this, and that makes me hopeful. But that's all I really want to say about the Autopsy of Jane Doe. It could have been more, it should have been more, but if you don't let yourself get swept up in the hype, go in expecting nothing and you'll enjoy it a lot more. And I say that for everything, you know, game, film, book, whatever. Go in expecting nothing and you will never be disappointed. That sounds bleak, but technically it's optimistic. If you think about it, you're never unhappy. But that'll be it for this time. Next time we're flipping the script and looking at something that didn't quite get the attention it deserves. I do hope you'll join me then, but until then, as always, thanks for watching and take care.